Welcome. And now that we have a working CentOS environment, let's go ahead and set up the Elasticsearch and empow's open source intent-driven classification engine. First, let's download the public keys. This part of the installation is a standard Elasticsearch and can be found on our website. So let me log in. Let me set the RPM, as I said, to download the public keys. And let me create the repo. As you can see, it's a standard Yum repo with Elasticsearch. I'm going to paste in the repo information. I got this from Elastic. Now we can install the actual Elasticsearch. As you can see, I'm changing which interface Elasticsearch is listening on. I'm doing this because our events will be coming in from external devices. So we just change that. Now let's enable it and start Elastic. Now let's concentrate on Logstash. Let's go to Yum again and download the Logstash engine. Let's enable Logstash. We're going to hold off from starting it at this moment because we've got some further configuration to do. First, let's actually install the Logstash filter plugins. One of them is obviously the empow classification plugin. Now that we have the empow classifier installed, we can install the empow module. Really, the classifier is the crux here. It enables the module to go and query the empow classification center to check on those cause and effect anomalies, to classify those in your Elastic database. So let's pull the module, and then we can install that module. As you can see, I've moved it from the unzipped directory that it is to the modules, and obviously created an empow module. I've also changed the ownership to Logstash from obviously the user that I am. Now let's vi our logstash.yaml file, and let's change the configuration. So let's change it. So here's our modules portion. And again, this is because we're using the empow module. Of course, you can write your own Logstash plugin. In that case, you'd have to define all the variables. In this, we're actually just passing the variables, the username, the password, the UDP port. And obviously, we're defining from a Cabana and Elasticsearch perspective that I'm not using SSL. So let's go and save that configuration. Now let's go and got one more change to make before we start it. As you can see from the configuration, I was using UDP port 514, so well-defined port. In this case, and just for this demonstration purposes, I'm changing the Logstash user to root from Logstash so that it can open that local port. else it would have been able to open it. While we're waiting for Logstash to start, let's go and install Cabana. Now that we've got all the engines installed, also from the Elastic portion, we have Elasticsearch, we have the Logstash installation, and we have the Cabana installation. Obviously from the empow side, we have the empow classifier, the engine obviously that goes to the classification center, and we have the empow plugin as well. So save you having to define the Logstash plugin for that. Let's go ahead and let's look at the status of Logstash. So straight off, we can see in this last portion, if you don't know systemctl, it's going to pull the last few lines from the log file. So I can see here that we're listening on UDP 514, which is exactly what we configured Logstash, the empow plugin, to listen to. So that's good and that's working. Let's also just check, which we already know, but let's look at the status of Elasticsearch. Now let's look at Cabana. Let's use the same netstack command. Let's grab that to 5601. This is the default port, the default TCP port that Cabana is listing on. So we can automatically see that Cabana is up and working as well. Now you've seen a working installation of the empow open source plugin. Let's look at the website. The website should be your primary location for any support or any further information. Likewise, this is the place you want to register. So go to empow.co. Once the page is loaded, you can see at the top right-hand side, there's an open source link. So click on that. And then you can hit the Get Started button in the middle of the screen. From here, on the right-hand side, you can do the registration for the empow classification center. You can also hit the Forget Password, which I need at a regular basis. And if you page down, it talks through both the Java installation, the Logstash installation, and mainly the empow plugins. It also mentions some of the configuration, and not forgetting how to test the system as well. So here's your one-stop shop for the support portion of the video we've just seen. And that concludes this demonstration. I hope you find this small tutorial interesting, and I hope you visit the empow open source webpage where you can find more information. Thank you and goodbye.